All right, so we've learned about abstraction and polymorphism. Now, let me teach you another way of achieving abstraction using interfaces. So, with interfaces, it's a little bit different, but you can achieve the exact same thing. And I'm going to show you exactly the differences between them in a second. But for now, right here, remember that we have this class called animal, and it is an abstract class. So the benefit of having an abstract class is that you can define some properties and behaviors right here, right? So these are the properties, and these are, for example, the behaviors. So you can get the name, you can set the name, but also you can have abstract methods, right? So an abstract method is simply a method with no implementation. So basically, if I try and do this doesn't work, right? Because an abstract class, or actually an abstract method, does not have an implementation, and we let the children, right? So the classes that extend the abstract class, whether it is a cat or a dog, to define the actual implementation. And you might have noticed this keyword right here, so at override. So this simply says that I'm going to override the make sound method. So this is used mainly for documentation purposes, but I could go ahead and delete the override keyword and it is absolutely fine. But what this helps us is the fact that we know that we are overriding the behavior set in the parent class, which is the animal. So if I go back to animal, here you can see that we have this abstract method and we are overriding this method. The same with toString. So right here, the way that we have a string representation of an object is simply overriding the toString. So there you go. So I just wanted to explain this because I think I didn't touch on it, and now you know what the override keyword means. So if I remove this is absolutely fine, right? So let me just put it back so we know that we are definitely overriding a method. Now, interfaces, they are a bit different than abstract classes. So what I'm going to do here is simply copy this animal class, and here I'm going to simply say animal and then interface. So usually you wouldn't have a class called animal and then interface, but this is just to illustrate the example. So let me refactor. Now we have this class. So an interface is as follows. So we remove the abstract keyword there, and then instead of class, we simply say interface. Now with interfaces, we're not allowed to have properties. So I'm going to remove this guy, and also these methods right here with implementations, we're not allowed to have them. So let me just remove all of these methods. There we have it. And the same with toString right here. So there you have it. So the only thing that we can have within interfaces are abstract methods. And because we can only have abstract methods, you can see that this is actually redundant, so we can get rid of it just like that. Oops, there we go. So now what we can do to achieve abstraction similar to abstract classes is, if I go back to, let's say, go back to the actual cat class. So let's come here, and now let's simply say, instead of extending, right? So instead of extending, we will implement, right? We will implement the interface. So right here, let me simply say implements. So these are the differences. So instead of saying extends, you say implements and then animal and then interface. And right here, we no longer have access to the super class. So right here, what I'm going to do is simply delete this line. And you can see that now we are overriding this method right here, right? So the make sound, and the same if I go to dog right here, let's just change this from extends to implements and then animal interface. And again, let me just remove the actual name from there. So we know that every dog has to provide the actual name. So what we're going to do is, if I go back to animal, or actually animal interface, right here, let's also have an abstract method, and then simply say get and then name. Now, if I go back to dog, we need to implement the get name method. So get and then name, and here I'm going to return this dot and then, and I don't think we have a name here. Oh, actually we do. So private and then string name, and there we have it. So this dot and then name, just like that. If I go to cat, we also have to implement that method there. So there we go. And here, let's simply say this dot and then name, and let's say this dot name, oops, name equals to name, and that with semicolon, and let's have the private and then string and then name. There we have it. Now if I go back to the main class in here, so right here you can see that we need to change this to animal and then interface, and you can see that the error went away, and the same with this guy, and the error went away. And if you notice, nothing has changed. So if I run this exact same example that we had with abstract classes, but now we have it with interfaces, boom. So you can see that basically the behavior is the exact same thing. Now you might be asking, when should I use abstract classes versus interfaces? So with interfaces, it's for scenarios where you might have more than one implementation, and abstract classes, you should use them when you have some common code that should be used across all subclasses. And also with interfaces, so with interfaces, you can have a class implementing more than one interface. So here you could implement as many interfaces that you want, but with abstract classes you can only extend one class. So in Java you can only extend one class, and that's about it. So for example here, actually let me go back here. So where we had extends and then animal, right? If you want to extend another class, so some class, just like that, you are not allowed, right? So you can only extend one class. So this is something to bear in mind. Interfaces is a class. So let me go back to the actual interface. So it's a class where you pretty much just define abstract methods that anyone that wishes to use this interface must implement all of the methods defined inside of the interface, and that's it. Just abstract methods. With abstract classes, you can have both abstract methods, right, and normal methods. So remember here, as you saw, and in this class right here, so abstract public class, you can see that we have regular methods here, and we can also have these fields, and as well as abstract methods. So there you have it. If you have any questions on abstract classes and interfaces, please do let me know. But the way that you're going to learn this is actually putting it into practice on my other courses where I show you how to use interfaces, because they are really powerful and it's something that you should use them 100% in your code. So if you want to learn more about interfaces, go ahead and check my Spring Boot courses where I use interfaces all over the place, and there you will fully grasp interfaces. If you have any questions, drop me a message. Otherwise, let's move on.